This is Talk Business and Politics with Roby Brock.
And welcome to the program. I'm Roby Brock. We are glad to have you with us. This past week, the Arkansas State Chamber of Commerce and the Associated Industries of Arkansas unveiled the newest version of their Be Pro, Be Proud campaign. I'm joined by Randy Zook, CEO of those two organizations, to talk about that further. Good to see you, as always.
Good to see
Thank you for
Roby,
being here.
always.
Be Pro, Be Proud was created to address a workforce need. How does it address that need?
Well, the need is pretty simple, pretty straightforward. Not enough young people particularly understand the full range of opportunities available to them to pursue high-wage, high-demand careers rather than just jobs. So they're just wonderful opportunities all across the economy in every sector, from manufacturing to healthcare to retail to transportation to construction, you name it. There are wonderful career opportunities that don't necessarily require a four-year baccalaureate degree. Now, let me hasten to add that I have nothing against a four-year baccalaureate degree.
It sounds like you've maybe faced some criticism about that.
Well,
message,
there have been some conversations,
yeah.
Let's just put it that way. So the fully developed message is college is great for some people, but there are other opportunities that are equally great for other people. So it's a question of making sure that young people understand the full range of opportunities, the earnings potential, and the crying need for people in a whole lot of the economy.
Well, and really only about a quarter of the Arkansas population does go on to a four-year degree or further. So you
That's
are
right.
talking about three-fourths
So
of the
we're talking
population
about,
there. So how does it work? Be Pro, Be Proud. You've got these trucks, and this
Right.
is the second truck that you added. Tell me why you added a second truck, but then tell me, how does it work? How do you go about the state and recruit these potential students?
Well, we actually are calling it 2.0. We're not going to operate both of them. So this is the newer, bigger, better version. So to make it straightforward, it's basically through the high schools. The career and technical education teachers and others, counselors, contact us and book a date, and we take this, what we call a mobile workshop. It's a truck and a trailer with a whole lot of toys on it that are just absolutely amazing.
It's an 18-wheeler that you can
18-wheeler.
walk through. It's air conditioned.
53-foot
It's got simulators in it. Of all kinds of
simulators,
things.
virtual reality headsets, just really, really neat stuff that puts you in those career activities, like a utility lineman. You're on a bucket and you're in a virtual reality setting. You're operating and doing stuff with electric lines. Likewise with an engineer on a locomotive. You're driving a locomotive. A truck, a long distance, heavy truck rig. You're driving that truck on highways and city streets and all kinds of stuff. And the coolest one, I think, is the excavator. You can dig holes, you can load logs on a truck, you can dig a ditch, you can do all kinds of stuff.
It sounds like something that maybe you were deprived a little in your childhood.
Well, let me tell you, I have not jokingly said that we could take this to the state fair and charge $20 an hour for people to play with all these things, and I think we'd have a pretty good market.
That's pretty funny. So what's the end game here? Someone else takes this over eventually? This is a little bit outside of your scope. I mean, you're pushing for jobs, but the Chamber is an advocacy group at the end of the day.
Yes.
And this is a lot more hands-on, I think.
We do this through one of our C3 foundations, so that just from a technical standpoint. But look, we would welcome an exit strategy that makes sense. There are other entities that more appropriately could own and operate this. And, I think somebody will come forward someday, and this thing could possibly go national. We had people from 4 states yesterday taking a look at it and considering doing something exactly like it under license from us. So it could become a national thing, and certainly by then it needs to be more than the Arkansas State Chamber of Commerce. It needs to be a Ford Motor Company or a General Motors or AT&T or somebody that's got a national footprint that could really do it.
What have you seen with your 1.0? What were some of the results? Give me some statistics. Give me how you've measured the impact that it's had.
It's a tough thing to measure. We can do head counts. We've had about 60,000 kids go through it in 3.5 years. We've got about 15,000 who have signed up for more information, either from, through our sources or directly from, say, the community colleges or other places where you can prepare for these careers. Mm-hmm. So that's a pretty good penetration in a state our size. We've done about 250 stops of the tour so far, and we'll have about that level of activity more, I think, with the new facility.
All right, it's Be Pro, Be Proud.
Yes, sir.
Check it out. We'll have a story on our website that'll link you to everything.
Thank you very much.
With it there. Let's take a quick commercial break. When we come back, you and I are going to solve the trade wars and the immigration problem in the state of Arkansas.
Piece of cake.
Yeah, you got it. All right, Randy Zook's our guest. We're back right after this. Welcome back. I'm with Randy Zook of the Arkansas State Chamber of Commerce, Associated Industries of Arkansas. Let's talk trade.
You bet.
It has been on the topic of conversation, I think, everywhere I've been, and I've been all over the state of Arkansas. Yeah. Farmers are getting killed over this tariff situation with China. Companies like Walmart and Tyson making big investments in China. All of that is a little bit in flux as a result of what's going on. 6 Chinese companies want to invest in Arkansas.
Yep.
That seems to be on hold. It does seem that we are starting to see some initial numbers of this is hurting the economy. There's a slowdown. There is some manufacturing contraction. What's it going to take to get this resolved?
Well, I think, we've got to realize, in fact, I was listening to some pundits this morning while I was getting dressed, but on Squawk Box, but this is a long game. We're not going to get this done in the next 6 or 12 months. We may see progress, and boy, I hope we do. I think the best thing that could happen in the near term is passage of the U.S.-Mexico-Canada agreement, the replacement for NAFTA. That would be a big signal and a great move for the Congress to make, and we need them to do that as soon as possible. We've got a new agreement with Japan. There are other opportunities around the world, likely with the UK, South Korea. There are all kinds of freer trade opportunities for the U.S. in addition to China. Now, China is they're the 800-pound gorilla. They're our biggest trading partner going both ways, and we've got to come to grips with that. They have been bad actors for so long that they're pretty sure they can keep getting away with it, but now I think is the best time to do it. We've got the strongest economy we can possibly have. We're in a better position now than we will be any time down the road. So hopefully we'll make some progress and we can then build on that progress, but they're tough, they're tough customers and they're tough negotiators.
You're a former manufacturer. You spent a lifetime in manufacturing. Do you think this tariff battle was a mistake to get into this battle?
I don't know how you could have done it any better. I don't know of a different weapon or technique you could have used to move it in a way that would make them come to the table. So it probably has worked out to be pretty good. And there are some realignments in supply chains all over the world that are taking place as a result of this. And I think long term, they're going to be more favorable to the U.S. and to the U.S. consumer.
So let's figure out how to fix the relationship with China. You put some sort of improvements on intellectual property, theft. What else do you change in that equation? What is a big thing, a big item that needs to be resolved?
Well, you need to get them to drop their tariffs on our products. We need more access to their market.
Well, everybody drops tariffs, I'm saying.
Yeah.
So then what do you do after that?
Well, at that point, you begin to hold their feet to the fire on intellectual property theft, hold their feet to the fire on some of the other mischief they're up to.
Which is like what?
Which is like shipping fentanyl into the U.S.
Okay.
This is kind of a quiet story that needs to be a real loud one. Basically, the fentanyl on the street in the U.S. is all made in China and shipped in either directly or through Mexican channels. So that would be a huge, very favorable thing to do that they could do without clobbering their manufacturers. And then we need to let them or set it up where they can resume their direct foreign investment in the U.S., like the 5 or 6 projects that are on hold in Arkansas.
You say this is long term, so you don't think this gets resolved before the next election cycle?
I think we see some progress. I think it's just a negotiating tactic. They will move an inch or two. It won't be earth-shattering, or it won't be satisfactory. It won't be the end game. It will be a baby step. But I think we'll see that.
Yeah, politically, if I'm the Chinese, I'm going to wait and see what happens in November 2020.
Absolutely.
And see if I'm dealing with someone else or the same person.
Absolutely. But I think just to keep the talks alive, they have to they have to give a little.
Is there incentive there for them to keep it alive? I mean, can they
Well,
not?
this-
Can they
this-
not be isolationists and do what they want to do?
This is hurting their economy a lot more than it's hurting ours. And Hong Kong is kind of the canary in the gold mine, in my view, because Hong Kong has been a very open, free, full-throated capitalist market for decades, longer maybe under the British. But how they handle Hong Kong, I think, is going to be an indicator of what they're going to do ultimately with the trade talks.
All right, let's solve the immigration problem. This gets
Oh,
us
the
back to
easy one.
workforce. You look at demographics. You got a large baby boomer workforce that is retiring. The Gen Z, millennial generation that's coming in to fill that void is smaller. So, I mean, you're going to have this difference of population there, which to me would lend itself to A, doing what you're doing with Be Pro, Be Proud, B, automation's not really a bad thing. It's going to replace some jobs that you don't have people to replace. And then thirdly, you need immigrants to come in and fill some of these roles. Yet we seem to have a pretty anti-immigrant stance at the national level right now.
You know, I think the best thing would be an effective short-term labor system where people could come in and out of the U.S., clearly identified, accountable, no way to, just kind of blend in and drift in and hide, stay under the radar for years, but have to be monitored and approved for their time that they work in the U.S. economy, then go home, perhaps to reapply and come back again. That system used to be in place back in the 50s and early 60s. It was called what was the name of it? It was you could get short-term, especially agricultural labor.
It was kind of a migrant policy.
Yeah, it was a short-term thing. You remember the old migrant student system that we had in Arkansas? And we had that whole apparatus down in Hope to house people because they were coming up here mainly for crops in Arkansas and California and other big ag states. So there's a solution if somebody will sit down and it starts with having control of the borders and starts with a good E-Verify system. The one right now is just basically worthless.
When we saw the raid in Mississippi a few weeks ago, and there were the workers that were working at that factory there, a lot of people were saying that the employer should have been held accountable on that too. Should they? Is business business have a responsibility there?
Absolutely, and in those cases, those 2 or 3 of those, I think there were 4 plants that were raided. 3 of them were owned by one Chinese family on the West Coast who just flaunted all of the rules. They made no attempt to verify identification, didn't even try the E-Verify system. If you could walk in and fill out a form with bogus information or whatever, they'd put you to work. So they were clearly out on the fringe of abusing the system. But a working, accurate E-Verify system to make sure that the Social Security number you put down is indeed yours and not somebody who's been gone for a while or somebody already still in the economy would go a long way to give employers the tool they need to have some reasonable level of certainty that you're okay to put to work.
I'm still not sure why we can't all come together and find some sort of solution on this. We're too divided in our politics on this.
It is. I think the root of it is political. It's not economic. It's political.
Yeah. All right, he's Randy Zook with the Arkansas State Chamber of Commerce and Associated Industries of Arkansas. Thank you for being here.
Always.
Appreciate it.
Good to be with you.
We're back with more right after this.